Chag Atzmaut Sameach. I'm so blessed to be able to be in this country. And I have to think to myself, I should say Shechianu v'kiyamanu v'giyan lazman hazeh every single day. That we can thank God that we've reached these times to be able to be here, standing in a country that has so much of our history. All the patriarchs and the matriarchs walked through the areas that we're in now. We have all of our history, whether it's past or present or the future, which is set out, the roadmap is in front of us over here. But remember, when we stand here, at the place that I'm standing right behind now, you can see the familiar site of the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls sits in the Israel Museum, up on one of the highest hills that sits over Jerusalem. Off to my right is the Knesset. And the reason that it's here is not a coincidence. But if you follow the way they built Jerusalem, you also understand that. Yad Vashem is at the base, and then you climb up the hill, you get to Har Herzl, and then you come across even more to the higher part, which is the Knesset. All of them understanding it takes its strength from one to the other. And where does the Dead Sea Scrolls fit into this? So when we think about ourselves and the Atzmaut, the independence we have, the modern day story of independence, of course, goes back to when the Toshavim, when the first residents came here in 1882 and started to settle the land. You have the waves of Aliyah, of immigration. But then something incredible took place. After the Holocaust, of course, the UN decided they were going to vote on the fact that the Jewish people would have their own country once again. Would be able to come back home legally. On that day, the 29th of November 1947, which we know so well because of what took place in Lake Success, and people sat around their radios in order to be able to listen to the vote, and all of the festivities that took place, you should know there was one man who was not out on the streets dancing, because he was totally in the moment of what he had just been given. He paid $28 for something, which today is around about 350 bucks, in order to be able to get a hold of a parchment where some Bedouins had given some messages that he finally got hold of, that there was a parchment that had been found down by the Dead Sea. As the vote was taking place, Professor Zukenik was opening up the secrets of the Jewish people. The secrets from 2,000 years ago, from the time of the Essenes, one of the sects that lived here at the time of the temple. Opening up what has now become known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. Incredible. He then dressed up as an Arab, went to Bethlehem in order to be able to bring more. But you should know, we never gave up hope in getting the full story. In 1955, finally Israel, in total debt, realized that they had the possibility of being able to acquire these scrolls for over $250,000 at the time. Very expensive for a country that had no money, that had all these immigrants coming in. But they understood at the same time as bringing people in, those people need to be connected to the past, to understand what took place here, to understand the beauty of what the Torah was telling us and the Tanakh has been telling us, to understand later on the other finds of what the Bar Kokhba rebellion did. And even today, those of you that are following the news will know that we found so many more pieces of the scrolls, and God willing we'll find much more as the archaeologists continue to dig. It is not about stones. It is about what's behind the stones or underneath the stones. And I'm not talking about the finds. I'm talking about in each and every one of us. Moving across those boulders, the stones, to understand what's the secret that makes us tick. Remember, people who know their past will be able to stand in the present and will see their future mapped out for them that they will play the part of. We take our inspiration from so much that's been written behind us, to the people that walked through this land, to the people who built this land, to the people who were able to give us the possibility to make Aliyah to this country, to feel part of this place. I wish you all that it should be an amazing Chag for us. And again, we're in the middle of the story. Now we all need to play our part to write the end of it. Chag Sameach.